February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Welcome back to Ace Attorney. This is the defendant lobby, alright? There's no defendant. And this is the final trial of, the final day of trial, I guess. Because I guess this whole thing's technically been the same trial, but the final day of trial, and the final trial of Ace Attorney. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? Where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Oh, something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there's still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. You don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. I'm never gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her. It's now. Or has on her. February 25th, 10 a.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Yudgy, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours? Why does he pause so long? It's so freaking weird. Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. So he's making her confess. Because he knows that we're about to uncover everything. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. Prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I'd like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant, Emma...
Oh, it's Edward. I thought Emma was going to show up. Which I guess, yeah, she probably can't make it because it's something that Can't did. One moment, Your Honor.
Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would be certainly premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gaunt.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. Edgeworth is the best character. This sudden confession from the defendant. It's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
Oh? To whom?
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Oof. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it.
Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request.
I don't think this is how court actually works, but I'm here for it.
That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I am Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dock of the Joe Dock killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. It's an incident that was resolved 2 years ago, really all that relevant.
Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then.
You sure gave in fast. No. Please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. Trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Alright. I'll get my drink. Just to be prepared for this testimony. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. I'll never forget what I saw in that or in that instant. I don't know why I said basement. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. We've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
Alright. You know the routine. Press her on everything. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. She was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk. I'd dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work.
A man?
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right?
On fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office. So I'm gonna go ahead and, before we get any further, I'm gonna go ahead and call out the elephant in the room with this part of the story. Which is, of course, why he ran into that office. Why would they go all the way up there in the elevator if they weren't retreating back to see Gant? You know, there's a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. What was the prosecutor doing there? Well, yeah, she said Neil Marshall rescued me. That day, there were two people present during Doc's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors award. Long and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but never forget what I saw in that instant. Also, how do I have the power to do this cross-examination? I'm not her attorney anymore. Maybe I still am on paper or something. I don't know. This doesn't make sense. He seemed to like grant her ability to self-represent. But somehow I'm still allowed to do cross-examination. Anyway. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. A sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective? Also, I guess there may be the possibility that the murderer was Gant. But either way, they felt safe coming back to Gant's office. Is the thing to keep in mind.
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim.
So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago.
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
You told Detective Goodman what you saw.
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, do you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. A picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Oh, yeah? Well, have a look at this. Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. It wasn't that detailed of a picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Well, hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that, as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. And that may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold!
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over. Turn it. Ah! What's this?
Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. The men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists. They're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You see the marks here. They were torn apart from each other.
You see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?
Order. But Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. This list was torn in half, and that means...
Your Honor? You were right, Mr. Wright. Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
You even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There's indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. The blue badger. So, he never looked on the back of that sheet of paper this entire time?
That's that thing. That thing was dancing in the evidence room.
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. Guess he was out of scrap paper.
Very well. Witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. I still think that the blue badge drawing is actually important, because Emma didn't say anything when it was shown, so she didn't deny it. After that, I must have fainted. The picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. It clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Okay. Well, what they say, press her on everything. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gaunt and Lana Sky. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in your mind.
Excuse me, witness. And can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
The lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue. No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. We were knocked to the floor. Mark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on me, I was knocked away. I turned around. That's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? For that, I must have fainted. I mean, you didn't see the actual murder take place. No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, the trauma of this situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do we really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture was exactly what I saw in that instant. I feel like I'm supposed to object to this or something, but I don't know what. This line, it's such like a definitive line, saying like this is exactly what happened. It typically is a sign that you should object to it, but I don't know what I'm objecting to it with. Wait. Hold up. He's not being stabbed in the back in the picture, is he? I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. The part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report.
Where do I point exactly? And I guess this could have been a stab in the back. I guess I could be wrong, but I don't think it'd give me this option if I was right. I think I objected for the wrong reason, but it was still the right thing to object with. So, but if basically, say I am going off of mine, I would either do the knife itself, or I would do like the chest, but the chest has an arm in front of it. So I feel like I'd be selecting the arm, which doesn't sound right. I don't think it would have me pick such a tiny area. I guess just the knife and see what it's actually objecting for. Because I have no idea what it's actually objecting for if it's not part of the location. Contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. Look closely, you can see the tip is broken. I didn't think the tip was broken, I thought it was just the way she drew it.
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
Hey, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, do you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murderer weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh! What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Then why would the piece be in there? Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. But what does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another explanation. You've forgotten already, but a little something called falsified evidence. We're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. I actually did wonder that earlier, depending on what exactly he means by that, but earlier I was thinking there's a chance that it might have been placed in the body. Because why else would they have the knife tip be broken instead of just a regular knife? Like, if that's going to end up that way, I feel like it would have to be planted. Like, I don't know why else they would have that as part of the evidence, you know? But, like, when they're designing the case for the game. Like, if they're going to have the knife break off and a tip of it be left inside of the body, what point is there to do that if it wasn't something like this, where it was planted? You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah!
Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation was really corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place on the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of the Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. Is there something? This is just random. This is random. This could have nothing to do with it. It was just something that popped into my head. But how weird would it be if Gant had Marshall killed just because he was their top threat by being a prosecutor? With him being the king of prosecutors, so they took him out. When he was in for defense. Took him out to specifically plant Lana there, so that way he'd be safe from his crimes because he can have her convict another innocent person. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. Hey, not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. That's true. And there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
Excuse me. What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? I don't see there being another one, but I don't see someone's mistaken being the right answer. I don't know what the other broken knife would be, unless... No. It's not something to do with... No, there's no way. I'm thinking about it, right? King of... Or the... Could be something to do with the halberd from the King of Prosecutors trophy? Because also, why else would that be there? Why would they even have that as part of it if it's not important? I'm gonna say that's got something to do with it. I could be completely wrong, just like I was with the reason I objected, but I feel like this is at least the right answer. I don't see them actually making Emma be wrong about the image that's burned into her mind from the crime she witnessed. The witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw. It can't just be explained away by simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. So, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. That's a problem, though. I don't have the halberd. Like, this wasn't the weapon. I don't have the halberd here, do I? Oh, I got it in this picture, right? Yeah, right in here. Boom. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. There's also that jar back there. I don't know if the jar has anything to do with it. But I'm thinking the halberd. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Oh!
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall was holding? That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order, order, order.
So, my one problem with this is wouldn't they have been able to tell by the wound that it wasn't caused by the other knife? Like, the halberd looks significantly bigger than the broken knife. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and a knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out his knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh.
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything.
Witness?
Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list, the one that with that picture scribbled on the back.
Because I still remember, in the very first cutscene for this case, it showed the Blue Badger plushie. This picture, I'm the one who drew it.
Figured.
What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. This time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Could you please tell us what you recall in the sky?
Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the Blue Badger? This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
This is certainly most unusual.
Quite impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him till earlier this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Stop! Please, don't pursue this any further. Lana.
What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
Seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. But he didn't even exist 2 years ago, so what exactly did Emma see? Gathered all the evidence on this site now. Let's put the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, I'm not gonna object. I'm trying to think what possibly could look like the Blue Badger. Again, the Blue Badger had been designed. Is there anything that has like a picture of the room? No. Okay, let's just press for now, see what we get. You say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. Power outage that immediately preceded the incident. It also documented the prosecutor's office reports.
So then you... How would you do something so dangerous?
What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall.
He seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife.
Just as we theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person. Okay, I knocked away the man with the knife. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly, but I did. It's all kind of a blur. It turns out that Emma killed Officer Marshall. Oh shit. Like if Emma killed Marshall and Lana is trying to save Emma right now? Somehow, this has got to go back to Gant. I don't know why I'm thinking to go back to Emma, but... this guy was almost killed before the witness to a murder was about to... Oh my goodness, let me just start this in the beginning. I messed it up so bad. This guy was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. So much happening on a matter of seconds. A little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
What you did was very brave. So then, what happened next?
Then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. Are you sure about this? Of course. See? I even drew a picture of him here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous space. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. That's when you thought this thing had caused enough commotion.
Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
I wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
His shadow?
So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right. I still remember it. It had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who was this Blue Badger really? I feel like this is the right answer, but I actually have no clue what the answer is. But I'm just going with it. The Blue Badger hadn't even been jumped up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It is the defense's belief on that fateful day 2 years ago. There indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright!
In this room. Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious Blue Badger lookalike.
Okay, let's start by narrowing this down to what all was in Chief Gant's office. This. I think this. Not this, but this as well. So I think through process of elimination, it's obviously nothing over here. It's not paper or cloth. But that only leaves this thing. This thingy. Which... Guess so. Like, I don't see it being the Blue Badger though. Unless it was like. No, yeah, actually. I can see that being it. The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Excuse me. Indeed it doesn't. Just as it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if you were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
Try to show him the correct angle to look at this from. I don't know how precise this thing's gonna make me be. Boom. Let me turn on the defense. This case hinges on the drawing. Is that not good enough? Alright, that looks like it to me. Okay, is it just that specific? Oh wait, I can... That is kind of useful. This looks like about as balanced as I can get. There we go, it just wasn't quite precise enough. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. Nay, I can't, but...
Order, order. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that you know the witness saw this jar? Well, so I'm gonna say how I. Okay, so I'm looking at this. What would that have anything to do with either of these two? It's not gonna change who did it just because that jar was in the room. We already knew the jar was in the room. The murder weapon isn't gonna change either. The location, I don't know how that would. I also don't know how that would technically work. Except, again, we were just talking about the angle we were looking at it at. If that could somehow have an effect on how she could have seen it, like it could depict where in the room it was, I suppose. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen the jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. How it could have been seen at that angle, though, with the way it's standing there. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. The body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. My goodness, I cannot speak. You see, a struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
You know what the reason was, Mr. Wright.
I only figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, I may draw your attention to this picture once more. The man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on. What would he have hit? The jar? Yeah, because the jar would shatter and, he'd have blood spots on it, Ah!
Oh, the suit of armor. Okay. The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. As the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility.
Of course, the perpetrator would have no idea, but nevertheless, I can't believe it was. I don't know if I can go through with this. I can't believe I actually called it earlier.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
The events took place as the defense theorizes. The outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man and the sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Thud. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this.
So it was the witness who took the victim's knife, and had proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
Objection! What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did. Wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
I'm willing to bet I do. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. Certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touche, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In a manner or another. That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. Message from the deceased. Does such a message exist?
Now think back to the court record. Real murderer's name on that the victim left behind. I assume is in the evidence. I don't know what it is, but this has worked for me so far. I figured it out when I just kind of look at him. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek, the truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Know then, Mr. Wright. Please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message from the deceased.
Wait, so if he left a message, it must have been at the scene as well. I was gonna pick this, but there's no way he would have left Emma's prints on a sheet of paper as a thing. Like, he can't just make her prints appear on there. Whoa. Hold up. I can't rotate it the way I could before. Okay, I think I might be just going crazy, but, well, there's a zoom in option. Okay. E M A. There's some of the blood is wiped away. Or like he just wasn't bleeding properly. That's Emma. I see Emma there. This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Oh, he's just going to speak the killer's name? Or is he just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. If that thing could, I'm sure it would. It's like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left in him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points. And the victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal us to the answer. I connect these dots to make the letters. Only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances, his murderer's name. So do I just do, like, boom? Boom? So I don't connect that part to the... Will this work if I just make it overlap like that? Emma. The defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message a prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Sky. We still have to connect this back to the main one. We still haven't kind of connected to the main case yet.
Seaworthy, can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief gone.
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Ah. Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. Excuse me.
Excuse me. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? You aren't defenders of justice.
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter.
And he still would have. He still killed everybody else.
Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
What's going on at the prosecutor's office? Might have sent an innocent man to his death. How could it be something?
Order! 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 Order!
The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued. And that is going to be all for today. Excuse me. Next time, it'll be the final episode of Ace Attorney. Man, this is the creakiest chair of all time. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.